Yeah, so I was just sitting here thinking about what it was like to go through postpartum. And I don't feel like there's enough warning really about what goes on during postpartum. And when I say that, like, you hear horror stories all the time. And this is not a horror story, but people don't talk about how it's like well, people do talk about it, but you rarely hear about how your brain chemistry like changes. And on top of having a child, you're also kind of like mourning like who you were before, especially if you had an unplanned pregnancy like I did. Like I was just like mourning who I was before. And you know how like people are just like, oh my gosh, get your sleep now, you know, before you have kids and stuff. You don't really truly understand that until after. Like, I don't think it's the best, like people saying that. It can sometimes sound very condescending and it's not helpful because during your like third trimester of pregnancy, it's harder to get sleep, it's harder to get rest. Your body is preparing all of these things. So I feel like it's not the right thing to tell a mother, but just I feel like it's a lot better to just like offer your support because you're going through so much during that time. Like the first 2 weeks, I was just like, I honestly, when I had my son, I did not have like that big wow moment when I looked at him. When I first looked, of course I had love for him, you know, but I think I was expecting something different. And I remember the second night, like the first night, I felt more like I was good. The second night, like the day before, I go home. You know, I'm at the hospital. I look up this baby and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to take care of this baby for the rest of my life. Like, I looked at him and I was just like it hit me kind of like it hit me so hard. I was like, I have to keep this baby alive. Like, and you know that already. But it's like when you sign up to do a job, you know you're going to have to be there 40 days a week. It's like the feeling's just more intense. You're just like, this is 24/7. This is the rest of my life. I am now a mother. You know what I mean? Like, this baby's looking for me. If I don't feed him, who else? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it really hit me. And that responsibility is a lot. It's like your brain, and it's not just that, it's like your brain tells you, you have to take care of this baby. Your body is like, you now live for this baby. I don't know anyone else's experience, but this was my experience. My body was like, this baby's ours, our responsibility. When people say that your child is basically like an extra limb just living off of you, like your heart running around, it's true. Like, your body's like, this is part of me. Like, you have to take care of this baby. You live for this baby now, especially like the first year, the first 3 months. I think actually the 3 months, either the 3 months, 6 week mark. I don't remember which one, but like when I started to kind of like feel a little bit laxed, like everything's gonna be okay, I felt like I could finally just like take a deep breath. Not saying that you don't have a sense of like security, but it's like your brain understands the changes, your body understands the changes and the developments that your kid has. I didn't feel good about going out by myself without the baby until like a year. I mean, I felt okay, but like when I say that, I mean like the mom guilt wasn't as strong for me. Like, I don't know what it was. For me, it was the 1 year mark. For someone else, it might be the 6 month. You know, for another person, it might be when they get all their shots. You know, I felt it was a shock to my system. And I feel like I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that because that was just huge for me. Postpartum, you know, I don't want to scare anybody from postpartum. I had a lot of support, thank God, during my postpartum periods. And, you know, I have a great family, a great mother-in-law, you know, so like, I feel like for me, it was still a positive experience, but there is a certain sense of feeling like you're doing this by yourself. Like you feel kind of just like, this is my responsibility that you're taking on, and it's a big deal. And it hit me that second night. It really hit me that second night. I was like, wow. I had to pray a lot because I did not want to like go into like a depression. I didn't want to like, because on top of that, you're mourning your previous self. You're like, man, I don't think I appreciated being able to just take a nap whenever I wanted to. Like you look back and you don't want to be like, oh man, it's a different stage of life. And I remember like going on Google and being like, will I ever sleep again? Does it ever get better? Like I used to go on Google and Google this in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. when I was tired and the baby's up. He cluster fed, so he was up a lot. Even when someone else would take him, 45 minutes max, you know. So very big deal. Very was definitely a lot. But yeah, I was just driving home from work thinking about that, like, I used to do that. It did get better, and it got better a lot sooner than I thought it was, because I was like, this is gonna be my whole life. You feel so like dramatic because your hormones are like I still have hormone. I don't know. I feel like after like it's been a year and a half since I had my second son, you know, I still have moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, like it's just sometimes it's like a large pill to swallow, but it's still worth it to me. I still love my babies, obviously, but I just thought that was just interesting.